It's time for the Margin Matters Minute with Money Man Jason Brown.
All right, everybody, welcome to the video that I thought I would never have to make. Yes, that's right, folks. Student loan forgiveness has arrived, and it's arrived in a very big way. Widespread forgiveness has recently been announced by Joe Biden's administration, and a lot of people have a lot of thoughts and comments about it, and yours truly as well. So for me personally, the first thing I thought of when this announcement was made by the White House was the fact that I just recently spent 2 years of my life writing a book on giving tips to people on how to avoid the dreaded student loan debt. So the problem now is that why would anybody want to work to avoid student loan debt when they can just do nothing, sit back, and wait for the government to forgive their debt? So with that said, this book right here feels obsolete to me. It's pretty much worthless. So anyway, moving on. What's happening, you might ask? If you've been living in a cave, you don't know what's going on, you don't have student loan debt, or maybe this doesn't affect you, but here's what's happening. Here's the deal. President Joe Biden recently announced he will forgive $10,000 in federal student loan debt for most borrowers, delivering financial relief to millions of Americans. Biden will cancel up to $20,000 for recipients of Pell Grants. Nearly 45% of borrowers, or almost 20 million people, will have their debt fully canceled, according to the White House, or as I call them, these people just won the lottery. They've just had their entire student loan debt erased. So that's a pretty big deal for almost 50% of all borrowers. So under this plan, borrowers earning less than $125,000 a year or less than $250,000 a year as a couple will be eligible for up to $10,000 in loan forgiveness. Recipients of Pell Grants, which are reserved for students with the greatest financial need, are eligible for another $10,000 in relief for a total of $20,000. So, with that announcement, Pandora's box has been opened in a great way. So in this video, I've come up with 7 reasons why student loan forgiveness is flawed logic. And yes, it took me a long time to narrow it down to just 7 because I didn't want to be here doing a 3-hour video. So I'll try to be concise with this. So here we go, diving right in. Number 1, forgiving debt is admitting that it's a broken system. So yes, that's right. The student loan forgiveness plan is basically admitting that the student loan program is broken. It needs to be fixed. Can't fix it. This is just a Band-Aid effort. You're just kind of throwing a Band-Aid over it. Really, they need to get to the root of the problem and fix the issue. One of the core issues is that college is just too expensive right now. Which the reason why college is too expensive is because the government is giving out loans to 17 and 18-year-old kids who have no business taking out 6-figure loans. There you go. So why won't the broken system be fixed, you might ask? Because colleges and the government are in bed together. Oh, who didn't know that? Here's a stat you might not know. For every dollar that they loan out for tuition goes up by 60 cents. That's what I'm talking about. So the loans are making the cost of college go higher. Colleges pay 0 in taxes and have 0 regulations on how much they can increase their prices. So there's another problem. This whole thing, it's an unregulated industry. Basically, colleges and universities can just do whatever they want. They can charge whatever they want and get away with it. And people are going to be forced to pay, if they want to go to that school. So that's a big issue that's going on right now. So number 2, moving on. Number 2, second reason why student loan forgiveness is flawed logic. This changes the expectations of all current and future college students, which leads to, there's that word again, entitlement. This is going to lead to entitlement. Students are now signing up for loans expecting them to be forgiven. Guess what? They're going to take out more money. So, hey, maybe Joe Blow only needs $10,000 of loans, but hey, he's going to sit back and say, hey, you know what? Maybe let me just go ahead and get $20,000 because I'm going to expect the government to forgive that debt. So this is what's going to cause a lot of people to get into a serious trouble with debt because of this, Pandora's box being opened with this forgiveness. Now, number 3, let's move on. Number 3. Now, this one I won't spend a lot of time on because we can debate this forever, but there's no way possible for this to be fair. And you can debate me in the comments if you want, but the irony of all this is this: we have an administration who is so focused on equity, equality, fairness, and make everything equal and balanced and fair. And this is the quintessential example of the opposite of that. There's absolutely no way for this to be fair for anybody. Well, except for maybe the people that are getting their loans forgiven. I'm sure they're not going to argue against that. But anyway, moving on. Number 4. Let's go. Number 4. This sends a terrible, terrible message about personal responsibility and self-sufficiency. This is something, I have 2 young boys, 6 and 2 right now, and this is the main thing that I try to teach them. Being responsible. The only thing you really want in life for your kids is to grow up and to be self-sufficient. How does this teach any of those skills to the future generations of college students in America? When they can just, hey, I'll just wait for the government to forgive my debt. Why should I pay my debt back? The government's just going to forgive it. So there's no personal accountability. There's no responsibility. None of that. All that's out the window now. And, so there's that. So moving on, number 5, the 5th reason why student loan forgiveness is flawed logic is that it's not going to boost the economy. Yes, I love talking about this because this was the rhetoric that our media put out there for the last several years. The narrative by the politicians is that, this is going to boost the economy. We're going to help the economy by, forgiving, this let's just get rid of all the debt and we're just going to boost the economy. Well, that's been proven a false narrative because of the last 2.5, almost 3 years of the student loan payment pause, which actually was started by the Trump administration, which was a result of the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, Trump put the payments on pause. And then, of course, Biden has continued to extend that. And he just extended it again as part of this announcement. I'm telling you for the last time, he said, 4 times in a row. So basically, the fact that no one has had to pay student loans for the past 2.5 years, and the economy has not been stimulated because of that, is the concrete evidence that none of this will boost the economy. And another reason why is because only 13% of Americans even have student loan debt. So we're talking about a very, very small percentage of Americans that even carry student loan debt, which, you will not read about in any media report. So that's kind of, just conveniently left out of the facts. So anyway, so there's that. Number 6, let's move on to number 6. Number 6 is this devalues a college education and may encourage people to take out even more debt, which I talked about a second ago. And it also gives institutions a reason to raise the cost of school even further. These are some things that I don't think people have really thought through. This is the fact that, schools and universities, they're going to start using this as part of their marketing, part of their, outreach and engagement. Hey, don't worry about it. We're going to raise tuition, but that's okay because you can just take out more loans. But don't worry about it because, the government, they'll waive some of you're going to get forgiveness down the road. Don't even worry about it. So, yeah, we're going to charge you more, but, we're going to ease the pain because, under the guise of, hey, vote for Biden again. And, he might do another round of forgiveness. So, there's that. So that's what's going to happen, unfortunately, in my view, is that this isn't going to fix the problem. It's only going to make it worse. So again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Put it in the comments below what you guys think about all this. Now, number 7, the last one, my top 7 reasons why forgiveness is flawed logic, is that it's not teaching financial education or literacy. So this is the biggest problem, is that, the problem is that our country lacks financial education and financial literacy, which has caused people to make irresponsible decisions with money and take out too much debt that they can handle. that they're taking out more debt that they can pay back. And that just comes back down to education. And people lack those skills. It's not being provided to them in schools. That's a big problem in our country is that we don't teach financial literacy to children in our schools. Only 14 states, at last check, only 14 states in our country have personal finance mandated as a requirement to graduate high school. This is a big problem. And yes, those dots are connected. Not teaching kids about money and yada, 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 we have a student loan debt crisis problem in our country. Yeah, those dots are connected. So a lot of people might not be able to see that. So if you'll indulge me, I will be quoting from myself on a blog that I wrote on this subject, and I'll link that in the description below if you want to read the entire blog that I wrote. So here we go. Here's my take on all this. So here's the major issue with forgiving anyone of any type of debt. We're talking about any type of debt. It doesn't have to be student loan debt. If you're forgiving anybody of any type of debt, it doesn't solve or correct the problem or reason why the individual got into the debt in the first place. And dare I say, where does personal responsibility come into play? If you do not know how to manage your personal finances or to pay your debts, forgiving you of your debt is only going to be a Band-Aid solution, like I mentioned before. It's a form of enabling. Yes, you're enabling people now. You're enabling, like trying to help the alcoholic stop drinking by banning him from the one bar. Guess what happens? He's just going to go find another bar. So I use this example. So basically, so if your friend comes to you and he's been struggling with alcohol, and he says, "Hey man, hey Jason, please help me. I'm trying to get sober. What can I do?" And I said, "Okay, well, let me help you out. You know that bar, your favorite bar down the street that you go to every night?" He says, "Yeah, I know that bar." He says, "I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to call the manager. I'm going to call him up, and I'm going to say, hey, don't let you in. You're going to show up, and they're going to lock the door. Not going to let you in that bar. You're banned from that bar." So yeah, that's what I'm going to do to help you not drink anymore. Well, guess what? What do you think he's going to do? What do you think my alcoholic friend's going to do? He's going to go to the bar across the street and drink over there. That's what he's going to do because I haven't helped him. I've just enabled him. And that's the exact same principles that's happening here with all this debt forgiveness. So the real problem is that there's not adequate education, information, or support systems in place to assist students and their families to make smarter college choices while they're still in high school. The issue is threefold. There's lack of awareness, lack of resources, and most importantly, lack of financial literacy and education, like I talked about a second ago. So those are the issues that we have. So, imagine a world where the government was committed to financial literacy as well as wellness and invested more in helping families make smarter college choices. What if our society spent more time and money and attention on addressing the student loan crisis by educating students before they take on the debt? So basically, we need to give people a hand up, not a handout. That's basically the whole point of that story. So, those are some of my initial thoughts on all this. I'd love to see, the comments, what you guys might think, solutions, suggestions, ideas. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Economists can debate. We can all debate on, is this going to cause more inflation? There's a lot of ripple effects that could happen of this. But, basically, for me, the big issue is it's not going to solve the problem. It's only going to make it worse. And you're not helping the people with the debt. You're enabling them to get into more debt because you haven't given them the skill set to avoid the debt in the first place. That's the problem. It's enabling and it's creating entitlement. So those are my thoughts. And I do want to say, if you are watching this and you are one of the student loan borrowers that just had your debt 100% relieved, you've won the lottery. Hey, share your story. Put it in the comments below. Let me know, how has this changed your life? Are you now able to go buy a car or maybe start a family or get married or buy that house you've been wanting to do? I want to know, I want to hear those stories too. I want to hear the positive, good. I want to hear that. Give me something good. Give me something. I want to see some good out of this. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. I appreciate your support moving forward. If you want to subscribe, that would be great. We always talk about money on this channel. So until next time, this is Jason Brown saying thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your support. You want to like, comment, subscribe. That's all good too. YouTube loves all that stuff. So just always remember my favorite saying, that it's not the amount of money you make, but the margin that matters the most. We'll see you next time.